Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in today as I'm going to be talking to you about land in Ghana. Today's topic is there really free land in Ghana? There's so many people who are always asking me about the opportunities for land. They want to relocate, they want to come to Africa, but they don't know if they can buy property, if they can get access to land. There's so many different things that people want to know. Now, today's special guest is Kwame Nitoto. He is an African American who relocated to Ghana and has built a life in this country. He's one of the people who came to Ghana long before the whole Year of Return initiative started. And for many decades, Black people have looked to Ghana as a potential place to relocate when they're thinking about Africa. According to 2015 statistics, there is about 3,000 African Americans living in Ghana. This number is likely much higher as more and more people have been making the move to the country, and I'm not so certain about the statistics being taken in the recent time period. And there's so many from the diaspora who moved to Ghana from other countries, not just African Americans. There's people who've come from Jamaica, from Suriname, from Trinidad and Tobago, and so many other places. So it'd be interesting to know the statistics of how many diasporans are actually living in Ghana. Now, most of the people usually move to the greater Accra region, the metropolitan area, because they find all the amenities that they want, and it just seems to be an easier way to transition into an African country to go to a major city. But there is a community of people from the diaspora who do choose to live in more rural areas, who do choose to live outside of populated regions like Greater Accra. Now, Kwame is one of those people who lives in communities that are not in the Greater Accra region. And this land, which is the Asebu Pan African Village, is actually not in Greater Accra. It is in the central region near the Cape Coast and Elmina areas. And so this is going to be a really interesting conversation that we have with Kwame today. For anybody who has joined us, we are live on Facebook as well as on YouTube. If you have any questions, do put them in the comments, and I will make sure that we get to your questions. We have Opa Day, who's here watching on Facebook in Toronto. We have Kwame Olatunji. We have Keith Henry, Frank. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm sure there's going to be lots more people joining us as we go along. So I'm going to bring Kwame into the stream. Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. How are things in your side of Ghana this afternoon?
Oh, Ghana's wonderful. I love being in Ghana. I'm living a dream. I'm actually living a dream. I couldn't be happier. Every morning I wake up, I'm still in Ghana, and I'm just really happy.
That's great. That's great. Now, for people who don't know anything about you, just to give us a little bit of an introduction, because I did mention that you moved to Ghana from the US. How long ago was that, and what made you decide to move to Ghana?
Well, I first came to Ghana in 2017, and I always dreamed of coming to Africa. I always had a lifelong dream, even as a child. I wanted to come to Africa to see it for myself. And what really happened was I had a really bad experience and I almost died. And I was laying on my deathbed and I was thinking, I can't die. I haven't done all the things I promised myself I would do, like come to Africa. And I was having trouble breathing, and somehow I caught a breath and I got through that experience. And 6 months later, I was in Africa. And I had a friend that was coming to Ghana, and I just connected with him and said, I want to go with you. And we made it happen. I came to Ghana and fell in love with Africa. I can't imagine not being here anymore. I just love it here.
Wow. I had no idea that happened with you, that you nearly died, and that kind of led to you thinking about what you want to do with yourself.
Yeah, that's really real. I couldn't breathe. I had a surgery that went really bad, and I stopped breathing. And I was conscious that I wasn't breathing. And I was thinking, I'm gonna die. I'm laying on my deathbed. I'm really thinking this is it for me. And I was really okay with dying until I realized I'd never really done three things. And when I got through that experience, I decided I didn't want to waste any more of my breath, because I realized how precious my breath really was. And
Yeah.
so I'm going to live the rest of my breaths fully. And I'm going to honor myself and love myself better because I'd taken care of everybody except myself. So now
Right.
I'm loving me more.
Okay. And how many years have you been living in Ghana now?
3 years. I'm coming up on 3 years in July. And man, it's the best decision I ever made for myself. It really, really is.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And so you're in the central region of Ghana. Which area
Right.
exactly are you?
I actually live in Elmina. I lived in Cape Coast for a year, and I love Cape Coast, and I had to move from the place I was in there. And I have a lot of friends in Elmina. A lot of the African Americans live here. We have a really strong community, and so I wanted to be close to that group of people. And I found a nice house in Elmina, and I love my house. I absolutely
Okay.
love my house.
Great, great. So now this whole conversation about the year of return last year with so many people who came, what
Yeah.
were your thoughts on that when you saw how there were a lot of people who had a strong interest in coming to Ghana?
Well, first, I just want to give a shout out to the president of Ghana for launching the Year of the Return the way he did and actually going to the United States and actually inviting African Americans and Africans throughout the diaspora to come home. I thought that was a very powerful move, and the response was tremendous. I absolutely enjoyed the Year of Return. People coming from everywhere. We had more people here than ever before. Business
Mm,
was really, really good. People got a chance to experience the motherland and make those connections. I found it to be very successful for everybody involved, and I can't say enough about how happy I am with how people showed up, how we showed up as Africans throughout the diaspora, how we showed up. We showed up.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah, we
what
did.
was one of the things that you found a lot of people asked you? Because when they found out that you were living there, you weren't just visiting. I'm sure you had a lot of questions from people.
I think the biggest thing was, do I feel safe? Is it safe here? I mean, how are you people? Because sometimes people don't want to believe that it's really as beautiful as we say. But
Yeah.
I can I assure them all the time, yes, it's absolutely true. Mother Africa is a beautiful place. It's very safe. It's very peaceful. I live stress free. People want to know how it is financially, what it costs. I talk about the cost. The cost of living here is better than anything I've ever seen before. It's better than moving to South Carolina or Houston, Texas, or all the places we thought were really good options. And so those are the best. The basic questions are: is it safe, and how much does it cost?
Okay. And so once people get the answer to the question about it being safe and how much it costs, I guess the next thing people want to know when they want to know costs is, where they're going to live,
Uh,
which brings us to the topic today about land in Ghana. And you are the administrator on this project, which is the Asebu Pan African Village. Now, in this project, one of the chiefs has given land that is designated for people from the diaspora. Now, can you explain exactly how that came to be and how the chief got involved and why he's giving away so much land?
well, the thing that makes Africa and Ghana particularly so attractive is that Ghana is very land rich. Ghana has a multitude of available land. And so the particular chief has a lot of land. And he was inspired by the year return when people started coming here for the year return and showing interest in being here in Ghana. He said that he got really inspired. He said, well, if people want to come back, let them come back to something. I have a lot of land. I can offer them land. So he first offered 100 acres of land. He said, I'm going to give you guys 100 acres of land. You can do whatever you want to do with it and give it out to people. And he actually contacted Rabbi Cohen about this because he's actually the leader of the diaspora, as you know, in our community. So, and Cohen actually called me because I do real estate. He knows I'm a real estate guy. He says, Kwame, you know about real estate. Can you help me with this project? And he explained it to me. And of course, I'm retired, so I'm not really doing a lot. So I said, okay, I'll do it. And so that's how I got involved, and I became the administrator of this incredible project. And I'm very honored to be a part of it. I'm actually honored. Yeah.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about this chief and exactly his involvement in this land.
The chief's name is Nana Dr. Okatechi Amenfi VII. He is the paramount chief, the Omanhan of Asebu traditional area. Beautiful man, very loving man, very strong, powerful man. He knows himself really, really well. And he's just a man of real integrity. and he wanted to do something. He had opportunity to do something. He said, you know what? I'm going to make it real for people. And so he decided to launch this project. And when it was an idea, it was met with a lot of criticism. He had the courage to move forward with it. And he commissioned one of his sub chiefs, Nana Sahara, Nana Obakesi. He's in the United States right now, marketing the idea. And the two of them got together, put together a team of myself, a young man named Obed, who's from Asebu, and Rabbi Cohen. And the five of us got this thing started, and it just turned into something really, really special and really, really big. And so I'm quite, like I said, I'm quite excited. It's absolutely real. The chief is giving the land away free. The fee that you pay is only to survey your land and get your paperwork done, because you got to do those things even if you buy land. If you buy land, you still have to register it, you still have to survey it, you still have to clear it out. And so the chief is saying, I'm going to give you the land, but you got to take it from there. And so in order to take it from there, we have to assume the cost of getting our land registered and those things. So there's a small fee of $700, 700 US dollars will get your land taken care of for you. To me, it's just a no-brainer. You can't beat it. It's almost something I laugh all the time because it's just so crazy. It's really real.
Yeah, it really does sound too good to be true. You initially, you said 100 acres is what you said, but I know that in one of our conversations we've had, you said that it was 5,000 acres that's being given away.
Correct. And
so did it start with 100 and then expanded out? Like what happened?
The response, the initial response was just so incredible. People started contacting me. I put it on Facebook. I put it on the social media networks. We did a YouTube video. I think in the first, I would say 60 days, I had over 400 people contacting me about the opportunity. And so we talked to the chief about it. He said, well, people are that serious. He said, 100 acres is not going to be enough because you can only get like 250 plots out of 100 acres. And so he said, well, maybe we need to make it more. And he just decided to make it from 100 acres to 5,000. And that's the kind of person he is. He's just a very loving, giving man. He has land to give away, so he upped it to 5,000 acres. And here we are with 5,000 acres of allocated land. And we're still doing it 100 acres at a time. And it's moving really, really well right now. We're having a lot of success with it. So, yeah, it's real. So people ask me, is it really, really real? And I have to tell people, yeah, it's real. Yeah, absolutely. It's really, really real.
Yeah, even as we're having this conversation, I'm like, really? Is this really like seriously? You know?
That's how it is. It's really, this sounds too good to be true, but it's actually too good and it's true. It's true. And that's, you know, that's good because that's Ghana for you. You know, you can find things happen here that you aren't going to happen. That's not going to happen anyplace else in the world. Right. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. The people are the most loving, kind people I've ever met in my life. And Nana Okatechi is demonstrating that in a very generous gesture of giving away free land to people.
We have someone here who in the comments on YouTube, Yafeo Cultural Fashion, I hope I pronounced that correctly, who's asking the land, is it near the ocean or is it more inland? So if you could tell us where exactly this land that's being given away is, that would be very helpful.
That's a good question. That's a very common question as well. I can tell you, this is not oceanfront land. This is beautiful green land. It's more inland, but it's in a great location. It's on the Kumasi Road near the junction to get to Accra or Cape Coast. So it's in a very great location on a blacktop. And but it's not waterfront land at all. It's
okay. So it's close to a highway.
It's on the main road. It's right on the main road. So it's not a lot of dirt roads to get to the land. That's what I love about it. It's in a great location. The location is great. I love it. Okay. It's amazing.
Let me play this quick video clip of someone who you recorded, and I believe is she one of the people who's purchased land? There was a woman and a couple that you had shared. This couple here, they've purchased land, or they got the free land.
That is actually Obed Aqua. Obed is the director of operations at Pan African Village. I'm the administrator, and so this lady is Patricia. And she came to see the land. She was traveling in Ghana at the time. She heard about Asebu Pan African Village. She wanted to see the land. We took her to the land site. She was quite excited. I took her to meet Obed because he's the director of operations and everything really goes through him. He's like my partner in this operation. We do the legwork. You know, we're on the ground, Obed and myself. And so I took her to meet him and I took a picture of him and put it on our website because, you know, she was one of the first people to actually show up and see the land. And so, yeah, I took a picture of it.
Okay, so you shared a video with me. I'm going to share it with the audience so they can watch the clip of her with.
Okay, now we're on live.
We're on live. Okay, so peace and love, everybody. This is me, Kwame Nitoto. We're here in Asebu.
Yes.
This is the land that we have to populate with our people. Pan Africans from all over the world are invited to come here. We have 5,000 acres. And this is only we have 500 acres that we need to get people here to help build this place. This is our land. This is our home. And if your spirit is like my spirit, that means your spirit has called you back. I'm standing here today because I listened to the voice of my ancestors, and they called for me. They said, sister, daughter, you got to come home, and there's work for you to do. My hands have been prepared and strengthened to do this work. You want to do this work? Come with me. Make a decision now to be here.
Fantastic, fantastic. So I could see that it's a very green area.
Everything grows.
Go ahead. You said everything grows.
Yeah, it's right now. It's full of you have neem and moringa there. You have orange. You have citrus growing there. You have palm trees growing there. Cassava. A lot of locals have been farming the land and using it for their livelihood. So you can really do whatever you want to do there. It's fertile soil. You know, Ghana is full of fertile soil. So everywhere you go, you can plant things. Everything's going to grow there.
So when you talk about fertile soil, it makes me think about the fact that it's an opportunity for someone to even get the land to do farming, to export, because that's something that people can get into business, is doing agriculture. A lot of people don't think about that.
We are encouraging as many people as we possibly can to come and get into agriculture, actually grow food, produce something, do some marketing, exporting. We've allocated actually 1,000 of those 5,000 acres for commercial farming. We've actually allocated 1,000 acres just for farming. So if you have a farming project you're interested in doing, you can certainly do it at Asebu. We certainly make sure that happens.
That's fantastic, because I know that there's a lot of people who've talked about coming to do agriculture. And now with this pandemic happening, a lot of people are looking to Africa as an alternate place to do business with. So it's a great opportunity to take advantage of and do some business. So I'm glad that you mentioned that there's land allocated. So if any of you watching are interested in doing agriculture in Ghana, this may be something to look into to get some of this land for yourself to start doing your business and exporting, fruits and vegetables, things from Ghana. Now, okay, so I'm going to go to the comments and see if there's anyone who has, someone says I can live off the grid. If you want to live off the grid, I'm sure you can.
Yeah, many people are already doing just that. So that's true.
And one of the questions that I know a lot of people will have is, what is the catch? Because there's always something. Because like I'm still saying, it sounds too good to be true. And I know you mentioned something about a fee, an administrative fee. So if you can explain that so people can know, because I have some questions in here. Someone's saying, what are the conditions with the land, with regards to the land? Where do I sign up? How long to own it for? Those kinds of questions. So if you can first address what you mentioned earlier, that there is a fee, right? And what does that fee cover?
Okay. Well, I can tell you that when the land was first offered, Rabbi Cohen and myself sat down and we tried to figure out how we could navigate this project. The chief has given us raw land, and we can't even give it out, until we have it plotted, because it has to be surveyed. You have to know who's getting what. So I went to the Land Commission in Ghana, the Ghana Land Commission, and asked them how much would it cost to survey and plot out 100 acres of land. So they gave me all the costs associated with plotting that out and getting that body of land registered. I said, okay, so if we're going to do 100 acres of land, this is going to be the total cost. We're going to get about 250 plots in this 100 acres. Let me divide this number by 250, and it came to like $680 or something, $83, something like that. So we rounded it up to 700, and that's what it would cost each person individually for their plot of land. So the $700 figure represents the cost it takes to survey your land, to get your plot and get the land registered. That's what that covers. 3 things. It covers the survey, the first survey, to survey the whole 100 acres of land, to
Mhm.
plot it out and pillar it so that we can give it away effectively and to register that body of land. That's where that number comes from. That's what you get with that $700. And then what you do when you make that $700 payment, then you're going to get a plot of land allocated to you, and you're going to get a land allocation document that says you have a plot of land. The chief is going to sign that for you, and you're going to have a piece of land in Ghana that you are now in control of, and then you have to process, and you're going to get an indenture later on with that. You'll get an indenture. The indenture doesn't come right away. I know you know in Ghana's not like the U.S. where you get a deed of trust the day you sign your note. That doesn't happen in Ghana. It takes about 60 days to get your indenture. We're going to try to expedite that process for you. And the good thing is we have people on the ground that know what they're doing. They're going to assist everybody coming through to get their paperwork done. And we're making it a safe investment for yours. It's the best investment, $700 investment anybody could make. I can't imagine any better $700 investment.
Okay, so let me repeat that, because I see that there's people who are joining who are late to the stream, but I'm just going to repeat. So you said so the fee is $700, and that covers the cost of surveying the land, plotting out the land, and registering the land.
Correct.
And then the chief will come and do the land allocation document.
Right.
You'll receive that indenture, the deed, in 60 days.
Correct, or sooner, maybe much sooner than that. We expect to get it sooner. I just don't want to overcommit myself. This is Ghana, and so I want to make sure whatever I say is true. So I'm giving myself 60 days. It'll probably be much sooner, probably more like 30 days.
So so there's somebody here who's asking a question on YouTube, because we are streaming on Facebook and YouTube. So on YouTube, someone's asking, Good Daughter's asking, the deed title question someone asks is excellent. Is the deed and ownership perpetual? Can you leave land to your legal heirs when you pass away? Do you know the answer to that question?
Excellent question. The answer is absolutely yes. The chief is making this land legacy land. He wants this land to be for people to leave a legacy for their family. You can certainly will it. Your paperwork will say a 99-year lease, but after your 99-year lease is up, no one's going to come back and say you have to do anything more. You're going to have your land free and clear for the long as you're there. You can will it. Now, what he doesn't want to do, and I need to say this, he doesn't want people to come and get free land and build a house and sell it for a profit. That's really not what he wants people to do. He's interested in people that want to relocate to Ghana and want to live in Ghana. If you want to come home, he wants to have a place for you. So he doesn't want people to come and take advantage of his generosity just to make a buck.
Okay, so that's a very good point. So the purpose of this land is not for people to come, buy land, build a house, and sell it for profit. The purpose of this land is to help people who want to relocate, who want to live in Ghana, who want to pass something down to their heirs, the next generation, so that they build a property that's for themselves, and they live there or their family lives there. Or if they're doing the commercial property, which you mentioned, they're doing commercial farming where they're exporting product from Ghana to other parts of the world. Correct? Okay. All right. So that's good to know. And somebody asked, the comments are going quickly here. Someone asked something about, here it is, Oceans Apart. I'll put it on the screen. Asked, will they work on developing the area? Do you know the answer to that question?
Absolutely. That's the absolute intent, is to develop the area. That's what the chief is hoping that we will do as a diasporan community, to develop that area. We have in the site plan a school, we have a mall, we have a health center, we have so many other things, and all it takes is people to develop an area. So as people come and stake their claim and build their homes, we also have land allocated for commercial businesses. People that want to open businesses will have land available to do that. So there's 4 areas. It's residential, it's agricultural, it's commercial, and it's industrial land. So anything that you want to do, we have land available. Let's say we have 5,000 acres. And 5,000 acres, just to put in perspective, is bigger than most U.S. cities. Oakland, California is not 5,000 acres. And so it's a long-term project that people are going to have to get into. And so that's what we're looking at. Excuse me, I got to plug my computer in because it's telling me that my battery is low.
Oh, your power's going low?
I'm good now. I just plugged it in.
Plugged it in now?
Yeah, we're good. And so that's really what it's about. So the intention is to develop the area, absolutely. And
Okay.
it's open to anyone's ideas. If you have an idea of what you want to do, if you have a dream that you want to fulfill, and you put a business plan together and submit it, and it requires maybe 5 or 6 acres of land, but it's a worthwhile project, it certainly would be considered. I don't have the authority to approve it, but I can tell you that anything that makes sense will probably be approved by the chief, and the land will be available for you.
Okay, so this is so that kind of answers the Yefeku Cultural Fashion asked if there were any building or operation restrictions on what one can do with the land, but you did mention the 4 things that the land is supposed to be for, and then now you just said that if you propose something to the chief has to approve it, so
Right.
people can propose something to the chief, right?
And I want to add that I don't want to say there's building restrictions, but we want to keep it organized. We want to make sure that people put something together that makes sense. And we're trying to build a community, and it impacts everybody. That's what we call it, a village. So we want to make sure that if you're building a 5-bedroom mansion and you want so many acres of land, you might not want a person building a chalet next to your house. You might want somebody with more of a like-minded structure. So you're trying to coordinate structures. And so I wouldn't say there's land restrictions, but I would say there's some coordination going on so that people feel very comfortable with what we do, and that they don't that we just have some consistency and some symmetry to the building process. We want to make sure we do that. We put it that way. You don't want to have a mud sitting next to your mansion, that's for sure. So something like that. But people are not going to be restricted. No.
Yeah. Okay. So someone made a comment saying that because of the $700, it makes it that it's not free, and then wants to know how many acres do you get for that?
How many acres we get for $700?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to be very honest with you. This might not be for everyone, because some people just can't imagine anything this good. And if a person comes in with a disgruntled negative attitude, I'd rather not be bothered with that person, because there's so many people that are willing to take advantage of the opportunity and move forward. So you're always going to have people say, well, it's not free if you have to pay $700. What the land is free. What you're paying for is a survey, which costs money. When you buy it, you have to get it surveyed. You have to get it pillared and indentured. You have to get it plotted out. All that is a normal cost with purchasing land. But so that is not free. The chief is not going to buy the land, not going to give you the land and then develop the land for you. He's not doing that. He's offering us raw land. So there's a cost to initially develop that land. And so what I say to people is just, take a wait and see approach. It might not be for you right now, and it's okay. But, I don't really entertain people who want to tell me what it is and have never been to Ghana.
Okay. So the plot of land itself is free. For the land itself, people are paying for the cost to survey the land, to plot out the land, to register the land, to allocate, and then get the indenture documents within the 60 days from the chief who signs it, and you get it in 60 days. Okay. All right. So, okay. And then some people have asked about internet. Somebody asked a little while ago, I can't seem to find the comment now because they're scrolling so quickly, but somebody asked about internet, question about electricity in the area. If you can answer those questions, if that is something that is a challenge, or if it's already an infrastructure there.
Well, what I tell people, first of all, is Ghana is not as developed as the United States. Ghana is only 62, 63 years old. I'm older than the country of Ghana. So Ghana doesn't have an infrastructure built like the United States does. The internet is not as efficient as the internet you're accustomed to in the United States. And so, but there is an internet. I'm on the internet right now. It's working right now for me in Ghana. So we have a lot of wonderful things here. And so, but no, Ghana, there's electricity there. We have access to electricity. We have to develop a water source there. We don't have the water pipes in yet, but water's close enough to tap into that those things are not going to be a problem for us. We're going to be able to make it all happen. So we're quite excited about the location. But yes, there's electricity there. There's water access there. The internet does work there. but just know that it's not going to be 5G as fast as you're accustomed to in Ghana. It just isn't. But the benefits of being in Ghana make it well worth it. I will tell you that. I don't mind having a slow internet, waking up every morning in Ghana. I just don't.
And I have to make the point to people who have that as concerns that they're thinking about when it comes to access to electricity, to water, that yeah, there are challenges in some areas. Even in Greater Accra, there's challenges that happen sometimes too. But what people can do is look at it like how you said, Ghana is like 63 years old. And I had once said to someone who was coming from the US was complaining, and I had said, well, Ghana's 60 at the time. I said, Ghana's 62. When America was 62,
Correct.
think about what they were when they were 62.
Absolutely.
We're much farther ahead, you know, with
Ghana
where
is doing great. Ghana is fantastic.
So what I also like to say is you can get with water if you have issues. So in Ghana, for those who don't know, you have the Ghana water that comes through the pipe system. You can dig a borehole. If you choose to dig a borehole, you can get a poly tank, which are the big these big tanks of water that people will have in the back of their house, where it's the storage container that stores water. My uncle, for example, they have the regular water coming through the pipes, they have the tank, and they have a borehole. So they have the three options. So when one might be low, they tap into the other. So you create an environment that's comfortable for you based on what you feel your needs are. And Ghana does have a lot of water in the ground for boreholes. Ghana does have a lot of water in the ground. If more people dug boreholes, you'd always have access to water all the time. And then with electricity, since this is new land that people would just be building on, I think people have to think long term rather than think of, I'm just coming in and I'm going to get a place that's already made. You're coming into a fresh, brand new land that you're going to develop your property. Get solar energy. I know when I get to the point that I want to build property, I want to get solar, because Ghana is like the land of endless sun. Even when it's rainy season, the sun is always shining. Absolutely. So looking at solar energy as a way to power your property is a great way to not even think about normal electricity that we're used to.
And absolutely correct. At Asebu Pan African Village, we're encouraging everything to be solar and everything to be green. We have a couple of contractors that are really, really skilled with different water systems. And of course, we're going to do solar on almost every building. And so there shouldn't be a problem with water or electricity in this village, none whatsoever.
Okay, so people have been asking in the comments, everything from if this is for Africans? Is this only for African Americans? Someone had asked if this was only for, is this for people of color, or is this for, anyone? Is the chief being intentional in allocating to people of color? This one question here. So if you could answer that, that would be great.
I want to work with that. That's a great question. I got to tell you that we spend a lot of time talking about this because we're a very diverse community. It's not for African Americans, it's for Africans throughout the diaspora. Another thing that we said to the chief was, when we come to Africa, we don't come to Africa to separate ourselves from local people. So we decided that we want at least 20% of this project to be local Ghanaians in that village, because we want the culture, we want the language. We didn't come here to isolate ourselves. And so we're insisting that this be a project for everyone, to include everyone. Okay, we have a lot of people from the Caribbean, a lot of Africans from the UK. But here's one thing I will say, and this was a lot of conversation went into this, and it's going to be very controversial. Because we see this as a healing project, this is a healing for us. This is returning home after 400 years of slavery and degradation and a lot of trauma. And so we've decided that initially this village will be just for African descendant people, that we are not allowing anybody to be in the village that is not of African descent right now. It may change later on, but right now that is one of the things we set as a criteria. And so, like I said, it's not for everybody. Somebody might not agree with that. If you don't agree with that, it's okay. This is just not for you. So this particular project, in its initial state, as it is right now, is for Africans of African descent. We're not bringing anyone other than Africans into this village right now because we recognize this, as an opportunity for Africans to heal themselves. And we're sensitive to the healing process. And it requires us to have some time with ourselves. And so for right now, that's a very controversial topic. A lot of people are not happy with it, but I need to put it out there and say it up front. This is a project for African people.
I'm glad that you addressed that. I am so glad you addressed that, because that is something that people have asked. They're wondering if, people of European descent are able to come, and you've made it very clear. You've made it very clear that it is for people of African descent. So, and one thing you had mentioned in one of our conversations before was you had said that there was going to be a healing area or something. Like a pause.
Yeah.
If you can talk a little bit about that, the plan for that in the community.
Okay. So the wellness plan came in effect because one of the criteria, or the primary criteria that we have for this particular project, is that we expect every person that comes to take advantage of this land to be a person that can respect the culture and the people of the Asebu traditional area, the culture and the people of Ghana. We're not going to bring anyone in here that's going to be disrespectful and violate this community, especially on the heels of a very generous offer of 5,000 acres of land from the chief. And so in order to ensure us of that, we have what we call a wellness plan that we expect, that we require everyone to go through. And it's going to be just a series of workshops and orientations to let people know what you need to expect when you come to Ghana. Okay, what you need to know when you come to Ghana, giving you resources, but also a vetting process. Okay, also a vetting process to say maybe this person is not fit or not the right fit for this village. Okay, because we need to understand it, because we need to be the stewards of this land. We need to be the stewards of this project. And we need to make sure that when every person that comes here understands that there's a culture here, there's people here. And just because they may not have the means that we have, they are not less than, okay? And so we need to understand how we can assimilate ourselves into this culture. And as well as, and I'll give you a story, my own story, okay? Just to put it in perspective. When I first came to Ghana in 2017, I remember I went to a cell phone store, because I'm not really good with the phones, and you got to scratch the card and you got to put the number. And I was, my granddaughter does that for me in the U.S. So I'm just totally outdone. So I go to this little cell phone place to get some credit, on my phone. And while I'm in there, an older lady came in, and she must have been the owner of the store. She came, and I was in line, and she walked right past everybody, and she had pulled a bag out, and the clerk just started putting money in this bag. And I'm sitting there watching this person put money in this bag, right? This young man, and it's a lot of money. He's putting like maybe 200,000-300,000 CDs in his bag. The woman looked like she may be 80, 85 years old. So she gets the bag of money, puts it under her arm, and walks out the door. Now I'm from Oakland, California. I've never seen anything like that before. I've never seen people expose money like that before, and just like it's nothing. She walks right past me out the door, and out of curiosity, she didn't have a security guard with her. She didn't have an armored car with her. I look outside. She's walking down the street with this big bag of money. And I can't believe it. And so I go home and I tell the story to the people that's hosting me, and they look at me like, well, that's what we do. And I said, well, somebody could just push that old lady down and take that bag of money. And the woman looked at me and she said, no one thinks like that in Ghana. And I looked at her and she thought that there was something really was wrong with me, because I thought that maybe it wouldn't be safe for this older lady to walk around with this big bag of money. But this is Ghana. Yeah. And so I didn't get it, Ivy. The next day, my brother called me from the U.S. This is a true story. He says, Kwame, he says, Nabu's coming to Ghana. Nabu is my brother's granddaughter. This is my great niece. She's coming to Ghana. She's dancing in Panafest in 2017. I'm like, are you kidding me? I go to the airport to meet my niece. I'm going to meet her, my family. And I'm sitting in the airport, and there's a police officer there, Ivy. And this police officer is looking at me. And like I said, I'm from Oakland, so the police looking at me is never a good thing. I feel like the police looking at me makes me feel very, what's going on in the United States right now because of police brutality. I grew up in it all my life. So when the police are looking at me, I get uncomfortable. And every time I look up, this police officer's looking at me. I'm like, what is he looking at me for? So finally I get mad, so I start looking at him. And this young man gets up out of his chair, goes across from me, gets a big chair and picks it up and sets it down in front of me and looks at me with eyes of love and says, Daddy, you come, Daddy. He called me Daddy, says, you come, I have a chair for you. And he went and walked me to a chair and sat me down. And I almost cried because I'd never been loved and treated like that. I'd never had anybody treat me with that kind of respect before. And everybody was like, yeah. And I realized something was really wrong with me. Something was wrong with me. I brought that stuff from the United States to Ghana with me. I brought that trauma, that rage, that anger with me. And so the wellness plan is to give us the opportunity to work through some of that stuff that we don't need in Ghana. No one is trying to kill me here, okay? No one is trying to kill me. I don't have to get mad and fight you because you looked at me. But that's the mentality that I brought to Ghana with me. And I'm a mature, responsible person. I'm pretty healthy. I think I'm pretty healthy. But if you look at me too long, I'm ready to fight you. And so the wellness plan is for us to look at those things, to explore some of those things, and talk about our own healing amongst each other, and realize that we can unball our fists when we come to Ghana. We can let those things down because they don't serve us in Ghana. We don't need those survival skills in Ghana. We don't need those.
So somebody asked the question, will the wellness and healing plan help learn one of the mother tongues?
Good question. We are encouraging people to learn the local language. In the central region, we speak Fanti. Tree is the dominant language in Ghana, so if people want to learn to speak Tree, that's fine. But part of the government request for people seeking citizenship is to learn a local language. And so when you come to a place like Ghana, and Ghana has maybe 100 languages, you want to learn a local language, so we're not going to make it a requirement, but we like to make it, we encourage people to do that. So we're going to offer language classes. Like right now I have a Fanti class every Monday at my restaurant. I have a Fanti class for people that want to learn to speak the language, because
that's awesome.
It's so helpful when you come to Ghana to learn to speak a local language. If you can speak a language, it makes your life so much more pleasant and enjoyable, trust me. So you want to learn that. Mm-hmm.
Have you learned any local languages, or are you starting to learn any local languages?
I'm starting to learn Fanti now, and for me it's interesting because I lived in Accra my first year here. And
yes.
So I lived in a God house. My host was God. I have a God brother, and they were speaking God, so I started learning God. And then after I started moving around, especially with the African American Association of Ghana, AAA, everybody's like, no, you got to learn to speak Tree because Tree is the dominant language. So they had some classes they offered. Then I started learning Tree. And then I moved to the Central Region, and now they speak Fanti here, and now I've opened a business here in the Central Region. So I need to learn Fanti because my business is in Cape Coast. And so now I'm going to speak Fanti. And so, I mean, I'm loving it, you know, and I'm just starting out, but I practice it every day. I try to speak it every day as much as I can. That's my way of learning language.
I want to hear you say a couple of words for us.
Well, I say, every time I see a person, I say, Apume, which means, how are you? That's a standard greeting. It's like, Itising in Tree. People say Itising. In Fanti, we say, Apume, you know, and so these are little things. I learned to say Dabi. Dabi means no. So when somebody's talking to me, if I don't understand, I say Dabi, 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 you know. And so as much as I learn, and then I talk to the children. So it's just, and it's fun. You make it fun. You learn. I'm learning to speak. The alphabet is A, U, E, E. You know, and I'm learning it. It's like I'm like a child in Ghana. I'm like a small child learning a language. It's beautiful. But yeah, people help me when they see me trying to learn it. They help me. They talk to me. They, you know, I'm getting it. I understand more than I can speak. When I hear it, I understand more now.
Yeah, oh, that's good. That's really good that you're making an effort. For some of those people watching who don't know, I was born in Ghana, but I was raised in Canada. And I am very grateful that my mom would speak Tree to us still when we were in Canada. So moving to Ghana, you know, and anytime I would travel to Ghana, people would look at me and they would just think I'm a foreigner, and, you know, but then they would talk Tree and I would understand everything. I may not have the accent as perfect as somebody who was born and raised here, but I'm good. I get by. I'm good. And so I'm so grateful for that. Now I want to learn. I want to learn Ga. And I would love to learn Ewe, but Ewe is very difficult. On my father's side is Ewe. Unfortunately, he didn't speak it to us growing up in Canada. So I only know the tree from my mom's side, which is Achim. So yeah, I would like to learn Ga and I would like to learn Ewe, but Ewe's been like, that language is just. So yeah, I'm really loving some of the things that you're telling us today and you're talking about. So with this place, it's called the Asebu Pan African Village. How do people sign up? Is there a criteria? So we know that the criteria of the fee to pay for the survey, the plot, registration, for those people who are just joining and maybe missed the first part of our conversation, the land itself is free. You pay for the cost of survey, plot, registration, you get your land allocation document and your indenture in 60 days. And that is $700 to get that service covered. But then the land itself is free. And so what do people need to sign up? What do they do? Can they do it while they're abroad? Do they have to be here in order to do it? What is the process for people?
Well, there's a website. The best way to do it is go to our website. Our website is asebuman.com. www.asebuman.com. You go to the website, everything is there. There's a link there. You can sign up right from the website. You can pay your deposit right on the website. You can submit your application right from the website, and it gives you all the pertinent information right there. That's the best way. I'll give people my email.
I want to type it and put it on the screen. You said ASEBU, Asebu.
Man, M-A-N.
Oh, asebuman.com.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. So I'll add that on the screen so people can get that. Okay, continue. Sorry to interrupt. I wanted to get it correct so I could put it on the screen.
No, that's the best way to go. Put it on the screen. If people go to the website, they'll get all the information there. They'll see all the people involved, Okatetsi, Obed, myself, Gohain. They'll see the roles. We will play the application is there. You can submit your application right there on the website. When you want to make your deposit, you can do that right there from the website. And I think that's the most effective way. I can also give people my email if they want to email me with any more questions. My email is always open to anyone. I try not to give people out my phone number because I get so many phone calls a day.
Email is best.
Excuse me?
I said email is best.
Yeah, so you can give out my email. And I don't have a problem with that. With anybody having my email, you can always send me an email. I'll send you any information I have. I really want to support as many people as I can and take advantage of this wonderful opportunity. I just find it to be just an amazing thing that the chief has offered this to us. Really, really a beautiful thing. It is like a dream come true and almost too good to be true. But if I wasn't here on the ground and going to Asebu regularly and seeing firsthand for myself, I probably wouldn't believe it myself. It's really real. The land is there, and it's rich soil, and the chief wants you to come and be a part of it. You were at the group yesterday where the Ghana ambassador of tourism was telling Africans to come home. You know, why not come home? This is our home. This is a great place to be. We have people here that love you, that want to receive you, and we have a chief that's offering us land. And so, if you're retired like me, if you retire in the U.S., you need to come to Ghana. All my retiree friends, this is the best retirement community, and you can get you a nice retirement home in the Asebu Pan African Village. You can build a nice retirement home there. And so we have builders that are going to be building homes you can just buy. If you don't want to build a home, we'll buy, but we're going to build some homes and have homes for sale there as well. So there's options there.
Okay, so you're going to be building homes.
Absolutely. Everybody doesn't want to build a home. I don't want to build a home. I like going and finding a nice house and just buying it. I don't want to build a home. That's not what I do. In the U.S., we don't really build homes like they do in Ghana. In the U.S., we go find a house and we buy it. So we have some contractors coming in that we're giving some land to develop. They're going to build some homes, have them available for people. So when you come to hit the ground, and in Ghana, you got to understand the cost of living is very low. So to build a nice house, you could build a nice quality house for $60,000 in Ghana. You could build a house for $40,000. Depending on the amenities you put in it and how large it is, it's very affordable here. So that's something people should also know. It's not going to be like it is other places where it's really expensive to build out.
And also, in saying that, I always like to tell people that the cost of building a house, the cost of renting a house, the cost of wherever you're going to be in Ghana, whether you decide to build or buy or rent, it's just like anywhere else. If you go to the capital city, it's going to be very expensive. If you go to the smaller cities, it's going to be less. Because if people come to Accra to do the same thing, it's going to cost them a whole lot more than it would if they did it where you are, right? Or where my mom's village is, and if you go to the northern region, there's so many areas that it's a lot less and really cheap. People can buy a house. Someone could buy a house in the north for like $20,000, and it's a massive house. If you go to the northern region, if you're in Accra, the capital city, that's like saying you're going to New York and trying to get a cheap house. The more metropolitan the city is, the cost of living is more expensive. So do keep that in mind for anybody who is watching today and thinking about if you wanted to get this land. In Ghana, it is not in the capital city of Accra. It is in the central region. It is closer to Elmina, Cape Coast areas, right?
Absolutely. It's 2 hours away from Accra. So you're 2 hours away from Accra. You're 15 minutes from Cape Coast. You're 15 minutes from downtown Cape Coast. And there's a car. You can get a trotro from Asebu to Cape Coast and be there in 10, 15 minutes all day long. Or you can get a taxi. It's easy to get around. Our location is really, really good. And you're right, it is in an area that's not expensive. I love the Central region for that reason. I lived in Accra for a year. I love Accra. Don't get me wrong, I do love Accra. But I love the Central region more. I think it's more affordable. And I love the fact that it's a little greener. Accra is pretty much all developed. And you're not going to find 5,000 acres of land sitting out in Accra. Not going to happen.
No, you're not. I had somebody who asked if the amount of land is going to be curbed for greediness, because you don't want to have a situation where somebody comes and tries to get multiple plots of land, and then they're taking up so much that it doesn't leave enough for other people. Is that something that's going to be managed?
Absolutely. Right now, we have a person can get up to 4 plots of land, which is an acre. For residential. And that's somebody that wants to develop it, because what we're going to require people to do is develop the land that you take. If you take a plot of land, and every plot of land that you acquire, you need to develop that land. For example, myself, I'm going to get more than 1 plot of land. I'm going to build a nice house on 1 plot, and I intend to build a 4-plex on another plot, because I have a bunch of kids. I have 5 children I expect to come to Ghana one day. And I want to create a space for my children to come. And I don't want to always live in my house. So I got another plot of land I'm going to build a 4-plex on. So if my kids come, I got a place for my kids to be. And so the key is to develop the land that you get. You can get as many plots as you want, as long as you have a plan to develop those plots. And you're not going to be able to just sit on plots of land. And the other good thing is, because there's 5,000 acres initially allocated, we have more than enough land for it. We're not going to run out of land. This is a 50-year project. This project will outlive. Absolutely, we will be giving out land for the next 50 years. 5,000 acres. Ivy, most major cities are not 5,000 acres. Most major cities are not that big.
With all the tension going on in the world right now, I have getting so many messages every day from people who are saying when borders open, they want to leave where they are and come to Ghana, come to Africa. So sooner, because there's so many people who now say, every day I get at least 10, 15 messages.
Every day, myself.
I want to come. How do I move? How do I come to Ghana? I want to leave this place. I'm ready. I'm tired.
You're right. So maybe it'll happen faster than that. But right now, we're looking at 5,000 acres. That's a lot of land. Okay, so I wouldn't worry about running out of land. I don't think anybody should worry about that. And then the other thing is this: the scary part is that 5,000 acres is a small drop in the bucket to what's available. The chief gave us 5,000 acres without blinking an eye, because he's got so much more land than that. So if there's a need for more land, the land is there. We have a chief in the northern region right now who's talking about 1 million acres of land. He wants to offer 1 million. He wants people to come to the northern region He's got 1 million acres of land. I mean, that's unbelievable. But Ghana is land rich, and that's why there's so much opportunity in Ghana, because land creates wealth. That's why there's so much opportunity here. You have this open land, you have opportunity for expansion and growth. And so I'm real excited about Ghana right now because, like you said, Ivy, every day I'm getting about 10 or 15, 20 people contacting me about wanting to come to Ghana right away. As soon as the borders open, I'm on my way. And 400 people contacted me in the first like couple of months. We have 400 people in the queue ready to come.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Maybe happen faster than that. But when I did my research,
you did your research.
When I did my research, I was talking to city planners because we're looking at really a city plan. That's what this project is. We're planning a city. So I talked to city planners. And they say, Kwame, this is what you can expect. This is what you need to know. This is how you need to move with this. But understand, this project is going to take time. So that's the advice I've been getting from city planners. It might be a 50-year project. You won't see the end of it. They say, Kwame, you're not going to be around when it's over. You'll be out of here. So somebody else will be doing what I'm doing before this project is over.
Well, when it comes to building legacy, most of us won't be around to see the legacy, right? Because it's a long-term thing. Even with the whole idea of coming back to Africa, coming to the continent and building, everyone has to also understand that it is about building a lasting legacy, and it's not only about us. It's not only about me and today, right now, but it's also about the next generation and the generation after that and the generation after that. So. Before I want to touch on what you said about the northern region, but before I do, somebody had asked about if you recommend builders. Let me find that comment. Do we have builders for us to support, or do we have to find our own builders in Ghana?
No. We have everything you need already in place for you. We have a list of contractors who are registered with us. We prefer that people use our registered contractors so that we know no one ever has a problem. Okay, our contractors registered with us. We don't want to limit people to using if you have contractors, if you have builders of your own that you want to use, I'm not telling you can't use them, but we have already done the homework for you. We have a list of vetted, registered contractors, Asebu Village contractors and builders that will build whatever you need, a variety of different builders that can do pretty much any kind of work you want. It will send people their portfolios and recommend people. Whatever you need, we're going to support you. The registrations, all the things that you need, we want to provide everyone with as much support as absolutely possible. So no one's ever going to be left hanging on their own in any capacity at the Asebu Village.
That's good. That's really good. Now I want to go back to when you mentioned the northern region, because that's an area that a lot of people who travel to Ghana don't ever think about. Most people come to Ghana, they go to Accra, they go to the central region, they visit Cape Coast and Amina, and usually that's the extent of it. They go to Kumasi to see the Ashanti region.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. So, but a lot of people don't get a chance to go to the north. A lot of people who come to Ghana don't even realize you can fly from Accra to, the northern region. So that is great that this chief is doing that. Do you have an idea of what the time frame is as to when this chief anticipates starting to do the same type of project that you guys have in the central region?
Well, I do know the project is currently underway. A good friend of mine, Brother Yao, is leading that project, and I've supported him as much as I possibly can. I want to be more involved in it, but I really can't because Asebu now is starting to really absorb all my time. And so I know that project is coming along. I don't know exactly where it is right now, but here's what I can commit myself to. I can commit myself to get that information because I think it's important to have it, to share with you, because maybe someone who's interested in Asebu may be interested in the northern region more specifically, and we certainly wouldn't want to limit people because people should be able to have the opportunity to do whatever they like. So I will commit myself to get more information from Brother Yao, to have available. If anybody contacts me and wants information about the Northern Project, and I'll certainly be able to pass his information on to people as needed. And that's what I'll commit myself to do.
Okay. All right. If we've been talking for an hour now, so this has been a really great conversation. I see a lot of people are really interested in a lot of this information here. It just goes to show you how much people want to know. I'll put up a couple of more questions here, and then we'll have to start wrapping up soon. Somebody wanted to know the size of the plot. I think you may have mentioned that earlier, but if you could repeat it again for the size of the plot.
Okay, sure. The basic plot size is 80 by 80. And that's the basic plot size in the Asebu traditional area. When you buy land, it's plotted out in an 80 by 80 plot. For Asebu Pan African Village, if you want to get a bigger plot, you can certainly request a bigger plot. You can get an 80 by 100 plot, or you can get a 100 by 100 plot. The fees on those plots are more expensive because when you survey land, the bigger the land is, the more it costs to survey it. When you register a land, the bigger the land is, the more it costs to register it. When you pillar the land, the bigger the land is, the more it costs to pillar it. And so the cost for those plots are more expensive. For example, an 80 by 100 plot will cost you $1,000 as opposed to $700 because the fees for registering and surveying are a little bit more. If you want to get 100 by 100, the cost goes to $1,200. So what I tell people, what I recommend to people is this: I say, listen, you can get 2 plots of land, 2 plots at 80 by 80 plots for $1,400. To me, that's a better buy than 1 plot of 100 by 100 for $1,200. And so it just makes sense to get 2 plots if you want more land. But when I went to the land commission to estimate the cost, I didn't understand that the plot size at that time. I wasn't paying attention to the plot size. So all the numbers that they gave me were based on plot size of 80 by 80. And so that's what we had to use because that's the reference that I put in the queue. And at the time, I wasn't really thinking about plot size. I wasn't, so that's what we are. But the plot size is 80 by 80. And I can tell you 80 by 80 is a nice size plot. It's not a small plot. You have enough to put a nice house and have a yard. You can do some farming if you want on your own plot. But if you want to get a bigger plot, that's also available.
Okay. All right. So let me just go through the comments if there's any. Here's one that someone asked. Do we have a time limit on building on the plot? Because sometimes in Ghana, people get land and then they just let it sit for a long time. So is there a limit onto how long they have to start developing once they get their plot?
Well, it's yes and no. Okay, here's what I'll tell you about that. We don't want people to get the land and just sit on it for 10 years and do nothing. We're going to request that you at least put a fence or some kind of barrier up if you're not ready to build, and that you at least maintain your land so that your neighbors don't have a blighted property next to you. What I will say is we don't want to put people in a situation where they feel like if they don't build in a certain time, the land is going to be taken away from them. We're not using that language at all. But we will encourage you to take advantage of your opportunity and do something with your land. You can't just get it and never come to Ghana and let it sit there overgrown and people are building all around you and your plot looks like the bush. Okay, so we have an expectation for people and we're willing to work with people, but we don't want to put a hard timeline on people. We don't want to do that either. So yes and no, if that makes sense.
Okay. All right. So just a reminder to everyone, I've been talking with Kwame Nitoto, who is an African-American who has moved to Ghana. He's retired. He's moved to Ghana and he's living the life. He's enjoying the sunshine every day. And he's the administrator on the Asebu Pan African Village project, which the chief has given 5,000 acres of land to allocate to give to people of African descent. So the criteria to get some of this land, you must be a person of African descent, anywhere from around the world. You could be Jamaican, Trinidadian, from Suriname, from the US, from Canada. If you are a person of African descent, melanated people, you qualify to get some of this land. And just a reminder, the land itself is free. The cost of payment that you're paying is for the administrative fees. So anytime you buy land in Ghana, you would pay for land and then you would pay for these administrative fees on top of it. So basically you're getting the land for free and then you're paying the $700 for the plot of land, which gives you the fee for the surveying of the land, the plot registration, the land allocation document, and then the deed that the chief provides and signs within 60 days, the indenture deed that the chief signs that you get within 60 days. So, so I just wanted to review that for everyone so you understand the land itself is free. It is the service fees that you would be paying, and then the land is yours, and you get to have a piece of legacy that you would be giving to your family members. You give it to your heirs, and that there is part of the land allocated for commercial property. I'm just doing a quick recap for those who weren't here in the beginning because we are wrapping up soon. Commercial property, there's allocation for people who want to do business, do agriculture, and then there's the areas where residential people will be living. So it's a great opportunity. It's again, it is Asebu Pan African Village. I'll put the website on the screen again for those of you who may have missed it before. Visit the website to get information and answer further questions in depth. You can, do you want me to put your email on the screen, Kwame, or would you rather I have people contact me?
No, you can put it on the screen. I want to make it available to anyone. I want to assist as many people as I possibly can. Put it on the screen. My email is probably.
All right. So this is Kwame's email for anybody who wants to reach out to him directly if you have questions regarding this land, and he will get back to you. So somebody on here mentioned wanting to go to the northern region. If you wanted him to get you in touch with the people who are doing that project, you can email him and he can get you that information as well. So I want to thank you so much today for giving me a bit of your time. I know you've had a busy day, and the last few days have been quite busy for all of us. I know after with all the tensions happening in the U.S. and here in Ghana, we had the on Monday there was the rally and gathering at the Diaspora African Forum, where the petition was taken to the U.S. Embassy regarding George Floyd and the injustices of African Americans and law enforcement. And then yesterday, I saw you yesterday at the memorial service for George Floyd. That was at the W.E.B. Du Bois Center, and then the unveiling of the plaque at the Diaspora African Forum. So it's been a busy couple of days, a busy few days here in Ghana. And somebody here, okay, let me just do a couple more questions and then we'll tap out. So one question here, a person asked if Ghanaians born in Ghana but live abroad qualify for land. We did answer that question earlier, Roxanne. He mentioned that anybody who is of African descent qualifies for this land. So yes, you would qualify for this if you are asking that question for yourself, Roxanne. And then somebody asked if farming is an option on the land. Yes, that is an option. Kwame did mention that there are acres of land dedicated to farming and commercial use. So definitely that is the case. And because we have people who have a misunderstanding, because we have someone else here who said it's only for descendants of slaves. I think that is not true. It is for any person of African descent. So
including local Ghanaians.
So basically, this is for Black people.
Absolutely.
So absolutely, if you are a Black person, you qualify to get this land. That's it, simple.
That's it.
So if you have any, concerns or questions further to this, feel free to give us give him an email, send him an email, or visit the website to get more information. Thank you so much today, Kwame, for your time. We're going to wrap it up, and I'm sure your email is going to be flooded very soon.
Every day I get 10 or 20 New Year emails. Can I say one thing before we go? One more thing?
Yes, go right ahead.
I just want to offer my sincere thanks and gratitude to the President of Ghana and to Oketechi and Memphis VII for initiating this project and offering this land and inviting us back home. I can't tell you how much it means to me personally, and I'm sure it means a lot to each and every African throughout the diaspora. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was a heartfelt thank you. I felt it. Thank you. And thank you everyone who's watching today. I really appreciate it. This stream will be up. You can you can rewind and watch it again. And if you have questions, as I said, send your emails directly to Kwame. Visit the website to get more information. Thank you so much for watching this live stream, and I will see you again next time. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss any future videos that I have here on my YouTube channel. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Thank you.